Hey, strong people, Beck here, and bringing you another episode of the Strong Talk podcast. If you're listening to this kind of right when it comes out, the next day or two, on Saturday, the official Strongman Games is happening, hosted by Train Strongman and Lynn Morehouse and the team. You can go back past episodes and listen more about the origin stories of all of that. There's also a live stream. There's a bunch of information. I'm going to put it up at startingstrongman.com and how you can watch that. And of course, trainstrongman.com has all the information. It's pretty cool. Just a recap of what's going on. I'm sad to say that I will not be making it out to North Carolina to watch. Just a lot going on at home, and I'll hopefully see you at the next one. But I'll be, doing my best to watch the live stream and fill people in, little updates, news, and however it all ends up shaking out, get some of the winners and participants on the show for future episodes. So stay tuned for that. Just a quick recap on what is going on is it's going to be basically world's strongest man and woman for every weight class other than the heavyweights, because that already happened this year, and that's a separate contest. The heavyweights get to compete for a Giants Live qualifier. I think it's the top three will end up qualifying for a Giants Live contest, and that is the pathway to compete at World's Strongest Man. In other World's Strongest Man news, it was announced on World's Strongest Man Instagram that Rogue Fitness is now the official equipment sponsor of the World's Strongest Man. What does this mean? Well, we can all speculate, and that's kind of the point. Definitely delve into it more in future episodes, but some quick thoughts. You can look at what the impact has already been on the Arnold Classic with Rogue being a sponsor. I think Rogue is the title sponsor of the Arnold Strongman Classic, though. Not entirely sure, so don't quote me, but that's what I believe. So it's a little different. I know that the money went up a lot. The equipment, better, more, they have a better production to make equipment, hopefully frees up money. Hopefully some of the athletes at Worlds make some more money. Some of the possible downsides to this agreement is more standard looking events versus the showy events that we come to see, like car flips, finger fingers. Rogue doesn't exactly make those, so I don't know if they'd want to make those when they can't sell the product. But they've done a lot of one-off stuff for the CrossFit Games in the past that they haven't really sold in their store either. So who's to say that they wouldn't do the same for Strongman? It's they're a big company. I think the best thing is their marketing team and the video production that they've done for the Arnold Strongman Classic, and just bringing more exposure and light to Strongman, because they now have a more of an affiliation with the World's Strongest Man. I think that's only going to be a good thing. The other thing it does is that Rogue isn't necessarily, they're not primarily a strongman company, and they bring in a crossover audience of people that might be interested in the sport and the people in it, but don't necessarily know much about it. So them exposing more of those people to it and more of the athletes is only a good thing. Will bring over more fans, more athletes from a new level, and hope, you never know how some of those people end up advancing in the sport. Anyways, this episode is brought to you by Renaissance Periodization. Go to renaissanceperiodization.com for their diet templates. They have some new ebooks coming out on training volume, etc. I had Nick Shaw on the podcast. Probably put that one out next week. The CEO and co-founder of Renaissance Periodization, just kind of talking about how he's, his process in starting the company, and some of the things they're doing, and approach to being able to diet and bulk. That's part of dieting too. It doesn't mean you're in a caloric deficit all the time. A diet is also in a surplus for peak performance, and they do a really good job with that. Go to renaissanceperiodization.com to check out all of their resources and products they offer to help you. Also brought to you by store.startingstrongman.com. Check out our Strongman training templates. Use the code STRONGTALK to get training delivered right to your phone on an app for just $10.50 a month if you use the code StrongTalkStore.StartingStrongman.com. We got the SBD winter line all up there as well on our store and SBDUSA.com. And check out StrengthShopUSA.com for more of your training needs. And, follow the show and at Starting Strongman. I'm at Let Kale Lift on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. As long as you're, as I'm not going to get too much into it, but as well, you can still access those things now that net neutrality went away. But I'll let people that know more about those subjects talk about this. We'll keep this to strongman, leave the politics out of it. Other than the strongman politics, there's enough of those. And this episode, check it out. Me and my co-host Mike Battolino discuss some of the going on in Strongman, including the Arnold Strongman Classic events, Strongman Corporation Nationals, and the official Strongman Games. Welcome to the Strong Talk Podcast. I am Kalle Beck, joined by my co-host, or as we call the other guy on the Strong Talk Podcast, Michael Battolino at Chrono Strength. What's going on today, Mike? It's been a little bit.
It has. We had a couple weeks where we were traveling, and then a couple weeks where we had stuff going on, and now we're trying to get back to it. At least this weekend and next weekend, get a couple in. Yeah,
I got some, and I fill it in throughout the week when there's people that can't be scheduled on the weekend. Not everyone can, and do a couple of these shows in between, and get all these Strong Talk podcasts out for everybody. But we appreciate it. But there's been a bit going on in the strongman world. We are at the recording of this, 3 weeks out of Worlds?
Yes.
And about maybe roughly 3 weeks removed from Nationals.
I think it was 2. I think it's 2 weeks ago.
It was 2 weeks ago. It was only 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it was only 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
It feels like a while. It feels like so long since I've seen you.
It feels like a month ago, dude.
It does.
So let's get into that. You competed at Strongman Corporation Nationals. I milled around and shook hands, and that's about it. I didn't really take any photos or do any interviews or anything like we always plan to, because it's hard to do.
You were
go
busy.
there.
You were busy.
Was I?
I think so. Every time I saw you, you were helping someone that you coached.
Yeah.
Or you were videoing for them and
yeah,
helping them, giving them chalk, telling them what to do, giving them cues.
Yeah.
I couldn't find you a couple times, and then I was like, all right, now find someone Kalle coaches. All right, there he is.
I had to keep doing the same thing because, it's the first year where I went to Nationals. I went to Nationals and I had a couple athletes competing a few years ago, but I was working, for or with or whatever for Strongman Corporation at the time, so I couldn't really it wasn't my time to do whatever I want. Mm-hmm. So I'd give them some, stuff in between. Plus, that was like a much bigger spread out venue when it was in Reno than this year, and it's a different whole deal when you have, you've been programming and coaching, 6 or so people for Nationals, and it's not like. It'd be one thing if I own a gym and everyone from the gym comes and it's like all one group, but everyone has like their own little group. So yeah, I was definitely running all around here, there, trying to keep track of who's up. Definitely missed a couple.
Yeah.
But, I did my best, and it was a good weekend, and everyone, did well and hit some PRs and, some ups and downs, and it was fun.
It was fun. There was some good food. Every time we ate at Hash House at Go-Go, put on like 4 or 5 pounds.
Oh my God.
I didn't jump on the scale for about a week. I'm finally back to normal, though. After eating, I tried to find the nutrition values for the stuff at Hash House.
Just don't.
Yeah, but I couldn't. I couldn't find anything accurate. I was like, there's no way that pancake only had 1,200 calories. Like, a solid 2,000. No way it was anything less than that. I mean, it's a pancake the size of, your face plus your hair. You know what I mean? Like, it was large. But it was damn good.
It's like the circumference of like Hafthor Bjornsson's like torso. Like it's
like a 35-pound plate. It was probably at least as big as 25. I mean, it's a freaking huge pancake.
Oh, at least, and almost as thick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the nutrition values for those is just if you have to look it up, you shouldn't eat there. Like if
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
even a thought in your mind.
yeah. Definitely not a place where you go when you're cutting weight.
Jesus
But
Christ.
no, it was fun, man. It was a fun weekend. I had a good time hanging out with you, and then meeting some people that I think I had 5 or 6 people come up and ask if I was the other guy in the podcast, and then a couple of people suggested that again I make a shirt that said the other guy in the Strong Talk podcast. So
So we could sell 3 of them.
yeah, maybe 4, maybe 4.
Well,
And I finally got to meet Craig Pfister. I was pretty excited about that.
yeah,
And we talked about, dude, it was awesome. So I met Craig, talked to him about a bunch of stuff, and then 2 or 3 days after nationals, I get back and I have a message from him on Facebook. It was Travis Ortmeyer's training logs from the mid 2000s on bodybuilding.com and Dave Oslin's recap of 2007 and 2008 World's Strongest Man on some forum. The Travis stuff was interesting, but the Dave stuff was outstanding. Like he broke down every single event. He had a really great memory of everything that happened. I was like, hell, I don't know how he remembered every detail like that, but he's like, I did this many seconds and Marius did this and then this happened, but it's really good. I don't know that anyone is interested in that stuff besides like me and 5 other people, but hey, I thought it was fun.
Have you ever met or talked to Dave Oslin?
No, I've never seen Dave Austin in person.
I talked to him, a couple brief conversations at an LA Fit Expo or two, and he is just so knowledgeable about the sport. I'm not sure there's anyone like as far as the history and like specifics of everything that knows more.
That doesn't surprise me.
Like even just you could just tell like he's in Thigpen. Josh Thigpen's pretty good about that, just knowing about like who got the stats and everything, but like he's gonna call if he had like if he was doing a game show and he could call a friend, you want it to be Dave Oslin there.
Yeah,
like if they're asking you strongman trivia or something. But yeah, that's something I've been thinking about a lot lately, because I remember I was on using the internet even at like my cousin's house or something. They had a computer and internet access before I did, and I'd go on there like the late 90s, like 96, 97. So, I was like maybe 12. And I thought it was amazing that I could like search this was before Google. I could go in there, I could search for this, search for that, and start to learn about something, just doing it just right there. Like, like any topic, like how to like lawnmower racing. I remember I was like, well, you could race a lawnmower. Like, I'm like, how the hell is that a thing? Then you spend a weekend when I'm like 12 just looking into that. And now like people don't even know how. I realized that like I've acquired a skill knowing how to Google better than other people. Like that just seems like that's something you just know how to do. Like you,
dude, it is a skill. Yeah, you meet people that are like, oh, I need to Google this, and then they write a paragraph. I was like, no, that's not what you do.
Yeah, but so my point is like the stuff like Travis Ortemeyer's old training log, etc. There's all these things that are just out there that no one is looking for or looking at, or a recap of someone who I believe he got podium at World's Strongest Man.
Dave?
Didn't he?
Yeah. Yes. Oh God, what year was
2005?
No, I think it was later than that. Was it 8?
Might have been, but so let's just say you have a whole recap, on some random forum from someone who podiumed at World's Strongest Man in great detail from one of the best historians in the sport, and people want to know about the sport, but I guarantee they haven't read that. Like, there's so much stuff out there if people just look.
Yep, 2008. He was right behind Marius and Derek Poundstone.
So, that's all. Just go out and look for information. It's already out there. Like, how it works now is you have to keep recreating the same crap you've already said 5 years ago. Like,
yeah,
I get that. Like, I haven't put out any little Q&A videos I do on my YouTube channel in a while, because if I ask a question, I go, hey, what does everyone want to talk to me about? I'm like, okay, I already made a video on that. Like I don't I kind of feel a lot of the time with strongman like that's why we started covering more news stuff on the
Yeah,
podcast. I feel like I've said it all.
yeah, and we also, as we've talked about before, there's some events that I think need to be brought back. You know, because we've kind of fallen into a rut with some competitions where we're just doing the same thing
Yeah.
over and over again. But it's good to see that like at Worlds at least there's a car deadlift. You know, I'm happy about that.
But yeah, everything when people go, "Oh, where'd that event come from?" It almost that's a talk we had at nationals where like the Poland's axle wasn't an event until the Arnold brought it back in whatever 2002 or whatever it was, 2001, 2002. Like it just wasn't an event in strongman, but it was an event in strongman in the, early 1900s. It's just like nothing's new. And people go, "Why is everyone doing this event now?" Because it all goes in trends. It's just all recycled. It's just like fashion. Things have like a 30-year curve or before they're back in style again.
Mm-hmm. Bell bottoms are coming back in strongman competitions.
I'm waiting for it.
Okay, so that's nationals. What do we got? Do we jump to just official strongman games in a few weeks, 3 weeks?
Yeah. I think some of the things to note with nationals is that for anyone who doesn't know that they kind of alluded to that's the only place you're going to be able to get pro cards a couple times, which I'm a state chair, so I was in the meeting and I asked the question beforehand when they announced that to us, and I asked the question, I'm like, and the Arnold Amateur, right? And they said yes, and the Arnold Amateur. But then
so first place at Arnold Amateur still okay.
But
yeah, that'd be a little weird.
And that didn't seem like it was explained very well at the banquet.
Agreed.
They kept saying that, and the whole time I was at the table, whenever they said it, and I replied, I'm like, and the Arnold Amateur.
Yeah, because if you win, I mean, they're both huge accomplishments. But if you manage to win both days at the Arnold, I mean, it's basically it's like two competitions, points normalized. I mean, it's a big deal.
Yeah, and the top American, of course. But I think it's not so set in stone. My understanding of it was that, they don't want to give it to an American if there's there's possible that there could not be an American in the finals in a class because they only take top 4 at the Arnold Amateur except for heavyweight. And my understanding is if something like that happened, no one would get a pro card, which I think is completely understandable. So I just feel like there needs to be an official press release stating exactly what
specifics, so there's no confusion.
Yeah, agreed. And then the women's class, they said the first place, then they just started announcing second place getting their pro card without we decided to give top 2. It was a little confusing, but I was happy because Jessica Fithin got her pro card and she got second, and she didn't think she was going to, and she definitely deserves it.
Yeah, you and I both thought she was going to, and she didn't. I was like, this is probably going to work out.
Isn't that funny that I know so much about how it runs that I'm like, if they're giving it out to top 3 in the men's, then they're not going to just give it out to top 1.
Correct.
In the women's, because then also it's the same problem is where else if you can't get a pro card at Platinum Plus, then there's literally you're giving out 1, then there's 2 up for grabs in a year.
Oh, for a second during the banquet when they misspoke and said the newest 175 pros, I was like, oh my god, did they make a pro card for lightweight
missed
men?
That. I actually missed that because
I was like, is it happening? And then all of a sudden they're like, my bad. I was like,
Oh, that's bad. Did they announce the person's name before they...
I don't know if they got to the name, but they were definitely it was a solid 30 seconds where at least I was looking around like, is anyone else hearing these?
Oh, I imagine everyone that all the top 3 175's eyes got so big for a second.
And then they're like, nah.
When the reality is, what's a 175 pro card do? That we could have a whole podcast on.
Agreed. I still don't understand why that's the one class that doesn't have one though. That's the thing that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, you are right. If you're gonna have pro cards, it should be
for everyone else.
There should be in every division. When it was just 231s and heavyweight, and the women didn't have it, then the lightweights, it's like, okay, I get it. But now, every lightweight, middleweight, heavyweight women have one.
Hmm?
Yeah,
And
it's just
yeah, I don't get it.
no.
Maybe they're trying to stick it to Kale still. You know
It's
what I
all
mean?
my fault. When I said previously is that my understanding of when talks I've had was that was coming, that was planned to come before the women's pro cards, but things happen,
Yeah.
stuff changes, and I had that conversation with a couple 175s there. I thought it was really cool to meet everyone, and anyone who came up and said hi or had nice things to say or not nice things to say. No one had not nice things to say though. I really appreciate it, and it made me. I felt very grateful being there, and that I get to still be a part of the sport in some way. And when people ask, especially every guy that was like 5'6" came up, if they had a conversation with me and they're like, when are you going to compete again? If they were under 5'8", if you were a manlet, they were asking me when I was going to compete again, if I had any sort of conversation with them. And I appreciate that, someone would care. But the fact is I competed in August. Like I just did a contest.
Yeah.
But I know what they mean. They meant, when are you going to nationals,
yeah.
Arnold, the world, blah, blah, blah. And it's just, we've talked about it. It doesn't, that's hard. Like I got up to a level where I'm like, I feel like on any day I could compete with anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And to sustain now, when you're like, you take a little break, you're like, okay, I know everything that went into it. It's almost better to go into it blind, and when you keep progressing,
Mm-hmm.
and you just keep going and going. But once you've been there and you've taken a step back, you're like, crap, to do that again, I now have to train this much. Not that I don't train now, but it's a whole different thing. Like it was my life, and I don't want to make training my life now. That's just how it is. And to be at that level, I think I kind of have to. I can't be half in competing at that level. That's how you get hurt.
Yep.
But for whatever reason, if there was a pro card, it would make me, even though it makes no logical sense at all, like it wouldn't change anything if I got it. It would just be I think it would still tempt me a little bit, I think,
Mm-hmm.
if there was. So that's about it. How did you end up finishing out at nationals?
We can move on.
All right, on to Worlds.
Dude, I mean, and that brings up another point. I mean, in all honesty, I did well for me. I performed as expected on every single event. I mean, I've dropped 60 pounds in the past year. That was the first time I've ever competed as a 231. I have no complaints at all. I didn't walk away, sad or anything. Yeah, it would have been nice to hit the log because the clean was pretty easy. But you know what? It's still coming around. I'm stronger than I've ever been at this body weight. So, yeah, I have nothing to complain about. I just didn't. As soon as I finished that competition, I was like, all right, we got to move on to the next one. And I started training again, and God, my body hurt. But, I feel good again. And, yeah, I already did my last heavy yoke for Worlds in 3 weeks. So I did 900 yesterday for just a little bit. And, yeah, I'm really sore. God,
Yeah.
But I didn't do 900 at 295. So to do 900 at, 232, which is what I was yesterday, I'm, again, no complaints. It felt good. I think I can finish it at Worlds. That's going to be the thing, finishing it. I already have in my head, I'm like, all right, if I drop twice before halfway, I'm not going to keep going because the risk of injury at a yoke that heavy is very high.
Well, and just how much it takes out of you each pick after that.
Oh, yeah.
For every other event. Yeah, I think dropping 60 pounds in a year is like, that's something that everyone, well, not everyone, but a lot of people go, I really need to do that, and never do. Like, that's a lot. I remember, when I dropped 30 pounds or so, and I worked my ass off, so I know how that is. Like, you're just on your diet. You've been focused this whole time. That's a life changing goal beyond just competing. I'm sure you feel a lot better.
My life is dramatically better, and the thing is,
just
the
as
reason
strong.
Yeah, the reason I didn't do it sooner is because I was scared of getting weak. That was the only reason I didn't do it.
Now, how many
'Cause I,
people listening to that or listen to this think that have that same thought process? I had the same thought process too, and it's something that I really would like people to think about. Like, what does being strong actually mean to them, right? Like, what is it? Just is it your 1 rep max deadlift and log press? Is that what you consider being strong, or actually being able to like like have a real, unless you're like, one thing, you're Eddie Hall and you're eating 3 cheesecakes a day to get up to 400
yeah,
pounds, and you got 6 figures for pulling a 500 kilo deadlift, and you're on book tours everywhere, and you have that trajectory. It might make sense for the sacrifice. Even there, it's debatable
yeah,
for what he sacrificed, in my opinion. But if you're just a guy who likes going to a local contest, man, like, if the only reason you're scared about dropping body weight when you're
yeah,
too heavy is because you're getting weak, just you got that same focus and mindset and hard work that you put in to get that big and that strong, just apply it to the same discipline you need to diet and preserve your strength. And you're a year later, you're hitting all-time PRs at a
that I didn't think I could. I really did not think I could do it. So,
especially on stuff like yoke, where it really helps to have some girth around the midsection to stabilize. That's not a skinny guy event.
yeah,
But no,
yeah. So, 3 weeks. Yeah,
off to North Carolina.
yeah. My odds for day 2 are not great. I am not going to lie about that. I have no. People are like, "You gonna win? Look at the trophies." I'm like, "No, dude. Like, there's some absolutely fantastic individuals. There are going to be people hitting 400 logs, as 231s, which is going to be awesome to watch. I'm going to do the best I can. I'm not going to zero the log because it opens light enough where I won't. The car deadlift is going to be heavy as hell. I want to get a couple.
It's going to be heavy.
It is. The yoke is heavy, and then I want to do well at the medley. I mean, the medley is it's heavy, but it's reasonable for me. So. I'm really looking forward to that. I really want to go against Jeff Lee on that. I really do. Just because I like Jeff a lot, and I think I'd like to chase him a little bit on that. So I think that'd be fun. But we'll see.
It's calling you out, Jeff.
Yeah.
Chunky
Well, he's
cheese.
actually going to be here for. He's supposed to be here sometime next year for some training. So I'm looking forward to training with him.
Like job training.
Yeah, like job training. Here in Wichita Falls. So that'll be cool if. I can hang with Jeff a little bit. But yeah, I think it's going to be awesome. And I need to give Lynn deserves a tremendous amount of credit for how much effort he's put into this. So the other day, I don't think we talked about this yet, but he made a Facebook group for all the people that are competing.
I saw that.
And he did he add you to that one?
Mm-hmm.
Or did you just okay?
I was just in it. I'm like, what's this? And
it's like friends and competitors or something like that for the games.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you're a friend of it, of course.
Sure.
I mean, you've promoted it more than anyone, so.
Other than Lynn.
Yeah, so he did he did a poll. What do you guys want to eat? He was considering like doing like a meal prepping service.
Uh-huh.
He sent us all forms to fill out for our travel, so he can coordinate getting us from the airport to the venue potentially. And then he posted in the group. I mean, there's what log we're using, what yoke we're using, the height for the frame, the width for the frame, the height for the car deadlift handles. I mean, all the stuff that you want to know that you sometimes have to look on a random Facebook post in a comment section to find out. Not saying anything specifically there, but he put it all in one place so we can all find that information so we can know how to train for things. And that's what you want.
Yeah.
And he's a competitor, so he knows, okay, what would I want to see? Mm-hmm. Well, I would want to see the trophies. I would want to, I'd want to know about travel. I'd want to know about the food situation. He's given us an 8-hour window for weigh-ins. So as soon as I get off the plane, I'm gonna go right to weigh-in. And he's like, scales are calibrated. I have a backup scale. There'll be a room, a private room where you can weigh in. If you need to like shave your beard because you're that close. Definitely wouldn't happen. I would just fly home. But yeah, Lynn has put so much effort into this, and I think it's going to be outstanding. No matter what, I'm getting a shirt with my name on it. Very happy about that. So yeah, I'm a little sad you're not going to be there, but you know what? We'll be talking the whole time. So.
Yeah, I think it's definitely something I'm gonna regret, and it was probably the wrong choice.
No, I don't think it was.
Well,
It's always pricey to travel to these competitions. I mean, how much do we spend in Vegas alone? Like, oh, it's a meal. Here's another $100.
yeah, I just with the baby on the way, and just the real life stuff, and just going to Vegas where I had, I still have some athletes competing in at the official Strongman games, worlds, whatever you want to call it, but having someone paying you for online coaching, the net benefit for you then to travel to the contest, that's always going to be a loss. Doesn't like unless you're training everyone that's competing.
Yeah.
Then that's always going to be a loss. I'd like to be there just because there is international people, even some people I've maybe talked to for the years, which I've never happened to meet in person. It's just the timing didn't end up working out as we got closer. And some of the finances, the website being taken down was a big hit earlier this year, but it's rebounded now. Hopefully by late, maybe probably not the Arnold, just the timing with the baby. I don't want to leave my 8-month pregnant wife at home and be on the other side of the country. By next year, I think I'm trying to put more money aside to cover travel and sponsoring some of the events, which you get with some of the income from starting Strongman. But,
and I think it will be bigger. I think it's going to continue to get bigger.
It'll be bigger.
It'll keep getting more competitive. I really do.
There's something about which I'm trying to be a part of this sport and help it, about being at the first one. And I'm like, not being at the first one, I'm going to be kicking myself years down the road, and I know that. But you got part of being a grown up is doing grown up things, which a lot of the time isn't the fun option.
Yeah.
I was talking to my wife about this, and she's to simplify it, her field's been a horse trainer, and I'm explaining it, oh, you have clients, and she said, in that industry, which is just it's insane money, but like they pay for training.
The opposite of Strongman.
I know, and I was like, okay, yes, that makes sense, but that's too much. She said, there's a in that there's you train them in person and whatever, you get paid X amount per month, or they actually charge per horse, which is weird, but not per person. So if someone has 4 horses, then they get charged they charge them 4 times that month. But then there's a whole other day rate to be there at contests with them, right?
Yeah.
And it's a set amount, and so let's say you have 4 riders competing. It's split 4 ways what that is, and that's after travel expenses. And she's like, why don't you get your clients to do that? I'm like, babe, I can't, everyone's trying to make by, and even getting coaching is a luxury in itself.
Luxury,
yeah.
What's a cheap horse, I'm guessing, is around $100,000, right? That'd be one of the lower end horses.
Yeah, something she would describe as a donkey.
Yeah,
in her field. Yeah, would be maybe $60,000 to $100,000.
Yeah, and then you're talking close to, is it close to $1 million for a real? At least $500,000, or
a horse that a client of hers they were offered $12 million for last year and turned down.
Oh my God, man. That's a little bit different than Strongman.
So, of course, being a horse trainer doesn't pay in relation to that, but don't get or else I'd be traveling to North Carolina right now.
Yeah, on a horse.
It fucking for $12 million, it better fucking get me there.
Wow. But, yeah, better fly.
Better be,
that was a unicorn, right? For $12 million.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, they get crazy. So It's a crazy world out there, huh?
Yeah.
But
Uh, hmm.
but yeah, I think it's gonna be a great contest. I'll be watching whatever live stream there is. It keeps saying coming soon. I heard a couple things at nationals on who's gonna stream. Like it's gonna be streamed by X or whatever.
Yeah.
None of them were Flow Elite, if anyone's wondering, but I don't know how accurate the others are, so I'm not gonna say it here because then people will just say it like, "Oh,
Right.
this is doing it." When
That's what Kale said.
yeah, oh yeah, blah blah blah's doing it.
Kale and the other guy mentioned that.
Yeah, he's the commentator, which I'd love to be. Anyone wants to hire me that to commentate a show?
Yeah.
I'm or not even hire, just fly me out there. I'll sit and talk into a microphone. I tried to steal the job from Paul Mauser.
Just to throw the bingo quotes in there so that we
Yeah.
can play bingo.
I stepped into the Flow Elite. They had John and Paul. I assume Paul Mauser. I'm sure they were doing a great job. John Eccles and Paul Mauser for Flow Elite, but I really did it where they said after the women go on the Husafelt, we want to talk to you for a couple minutes, right? So I went out. I talked to or it was after. Yeah, I think it was after the Husafelt. I don't remember. So I go out. I move a little bit. Paul goes looking for me.
Mm-hmm.
The wrong way. I go back to the table, so it's just me and John. And I sit down in Paul's seat, and he comes back halfway into the interview, and we're laughing up, and we just have this great chemistry going, and we're talking about the contest. And Paul's like, "There you are." And I'm like, "You go away. I got your job. I just stole your job." But then he kicked me out.
Boo.
I think that's what's. I was trying. I'm like, it was like an audition for me. And be the next commentator for whatever other service there is. But yeah, well, whatever it is, we'll post it on the Starting Strongman social medias. I'm sure Lynn will share it as well when it's announced where to actually go to buy or just watch a live stream of the event, and that's what I'll be doing.
And we'll miss you. Sniffle.
I'll miss you too.
All right,
Mike.
so should we jump
Arnold
into
events.
we'll let the Strongman Champions League real quick since we know so little about
Yeah,
it.
because it'll take all 5 minutes. So the Strongman Champions League final is, I think, on the third day right now,
Third day in Mexico.
and it looks awesome. They're like
wait.
on a beach, second or third day. Because Mateus Belsac, he just keeps posting and going great. He said he was leading after day one.
He set a world record on, I think, the dumbbell.
Probably for reps, and it's probably a Strongman Champions League record because they keep theirs separate. So I have no idea.
But Dimitar's still going to want to beat it, no doubt.
Well, that's the thing is if it's a Strongman Champions League record, he probably already he might have already had for reps. So who knows?
Yeah.
It's just there's a dumbbell in the air, a picture of him, and it says, leading after day one, new world record. So you can't really. I don't know much else other than that.
So yeah, it's 3 days, and here we go. He posted the reps. So we hit 92 kilos, so 202 pounds, for 14 reps in 60 seconds.
That's pretty
That's
fast.
ridiculously fast.
That's like some Danny Schwab
Wow.
pace.
Did he snatch half of them? I don't know.
Pretty much.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
he's
pretty
got some
awesome.
explosive power. I think he was the leader. I don't know how the Strongman Champions League doesn't get much attention, at least in the United States. We were talking about that before the show. But I've heard nothing but good things from the athletes. I know you have too that go there.
Mm-hmm.
The shows they're on the, I guess, the lighter side, compared to the Arnold series. And they look like they're in good locations. There's a lot of them every year to compete in. And they're lifting on a beach in Mexico right now. At some resort. I don't know why, if I was an aspiring heavyweight or strongman, that seems like a pretty good gig.
No doubt. Luke loves it. I bought some equipment from Luke not too long ago, and he's Luke Herrick. He really happy.
Big Luke Herrick. He's probably like one of the strongest people don't know about. You say no offense to Luke, but like
he hit a 450 log, almost doubled it, and he's pulled 900.
Yeah. So and he's big. Looking him up.
Yeah.
I remember, you know,
Yeah.
when Obi and I did the podcast, I saw him at, you know, some show, and I was talking to him and his wife, and she's like, yeah, he's always listening to the podcast. He loves it. And I talked to him. He's all, yeah, I put it on when I'm going to sleep. I'm like, thanks. And he's like, no, I don't mean it like that.
I've got some of my favorite Luke moments were like him hitting his first 400 log, which I think was at a competition in early 14. I got to watch that. Him set the Texas State record. And then him doing Moss wrestling against a guy.
Oh, man.
Conservatively half his size.
Yeah, that was bad.
He threw him off the stage.
Over himself.
It was awesome. I mean, it was just, I was like, poor guy. Poor fella.
Yeah, so Luke's competing down there. He's gotten a couple podium finishes at some of them over the year. I also saw he dropped like a rock on his head in the Caribbean or some shit a couple weeks ago. That looked disconcerting, but I guess.
But he was good when I saw him after that. He was doing all right.
I know. I saw that video. I'm like, man, that's a big ass rock you just dropped on your head in the beach, too. But we'll have to get Luke on to talk about his experience. You know, going through a circuit of the for the strongman of SCL over the year. I think that would be a fun discussion, you know, whenever he gets back.
One of the only U.S. strongmen that does that.
Yeah, him and Kevin Ferris, he's the 231. Is he doing worlds? You know.
I don't know.
Because if he is, he's got to be up there towards a favorite because he's won freaking everything he's entered as a 231 just about.
Yeah, he's won. What, Arnold?
SCL Worlds, both nationals in the same year. Like, he won all those in like pretty much the same like 12-month like circuit. I don't know if it was the same calendar year, but.
Did you talk to him by yourself, or have we not interviewed him yet?
I've sent him messages.
We've sent a lot of people messages, and then a couple months later, they're like, "Yeah, sounds great."
Yeah, I've talked to people. I think he's just not one of the. He's not big on social media, so you know, if you know him personally, I love to talk to him, get him on here. You know, some people have the luxury of they're like, yeah, Instagram DMs. What are those? And I envy those people personally. I don't even.
It's the little red thing in the upper right corner.
Yeah, if people don't know what a DM is on an Instagram, I really envy how much simpler their life is than mine. And you know, they just focus on being strong as shit and, you know, being 240 pounds and getting first and seconds at international strongman contests. So good.
No, he's not here for the games, Kevin Ferris.
Well, he's too busy doing all these SCL comps, so it's awesome. But yeah, we'll it'll be over by the time you listen to this. So it looks like Belsac's probably winning. I don't know. Did you see who else is competing there? The big names.
Let's go back.
I know he posted something about it.
So he's supposed to, according to the SCL website, it was Zagaris, Dennis Kohlroos from Germany, Alex Moonen from Holland, Krzysztof Radzikowski, JF Caron. I didn't know Graham Hicks was going. No way I'm getting this guy from Latvia's name right. Not even a chance. It looks like Vitautas pulled out, Lalas pulled out, Luke, and Sean O'Hagan.
Yeah, Sean is like the tallest strongman in the world.
How tall is he?
He's like 7 foot, I think. Or 6'11".
Oh, so speaking of really tall people,
I'm
really curious how many people saw the really tall guy at Nationals.
You mean
what was his?
I have no.
What was his name again?
I don't know. I didn't talk to him.
I walked into the bathroom and I was washing my hands and I looked up and I said, "Jesus!" And I said, "Dude, what castle are you guarding around here?" And he's like, and yeah, I saw him a couple times, and I kept making like sword jokes and jokes about slaying dragons. And he's down in the Houston area, and apparently he's talked to Obi before. But I told him to go talk to Travis because Travis lived in Houston for a long time.
Sure.
And I was like, you need to go ask him where to go. Yeah, I mean he was close. I mean he was like high 6, like maybe 6'11", at least 6'7", 6'9".
No, taller than that.
I mean, dude, he was huge.
Yeah, so
it was almost laughable watching him on the sidelines, like watching things.
Yeah, you show up to, strongman nationals, you got almost 300 giant people. Some are smaller weight classes, but there's a lot of big people, and you're the tallest guy. You're like the biggest guy, and you're wearing a wife beater, and you got shoulder length hair, walking around, being the biggest guy, spectating at a show. It's an odd. It's just kind of odd. It'd be one thing if like he was like like Martins and Lee, Martins and like Travis and stuff are helping out.
Yeah.
And they're pros who want to go, but you're like, who's the biggest person here who's just like, oh, this is awesome what you guys do? Or like,
Dude, and you know what was funny? There were so many people who didn't know who Martins was.
or Travis,
And I'm
I'm
like,
sure.
yeah, for sure, Travis. But just people that are newer to the sport, and we've talked about this before, competitors that just aren't that interested in other aspects of the sport. That aren't as like fans or fanboys of the sport.
How do they not know that the fourth place finisher at the last year's World's Strongest, this year's World's Strongest Man, is telling you to turn with the Husafell?
Yeah.
And they're just like, you're giving you your down commands or whatever.
Yeah, because it was someone was talking to him. And he goes, "What's your name?" When he was talking to Martins, I'm like, "What do you mean? What's his name?" It's like Martins, and I heard him introduce himself. I'm like, "I'm sorry, did you miss? Can you say that a little bit later?" He's like, "Oh, Martins." I was like, "Very good." I was like, "All right."
Did you see that Steinborn? What is it? Steinborn squat he hit?
Oh my god,
what
dude!
What the fuck is that?
I don't know. I mean, really, him and a couple other people could really be like old time strongmen.
Oh,
you know
he'd
what I
be
mean?
great at it.
And do things like I mean, I don't even know I don't know if Ode introduces him to some of these movements or if he finds them on his own. And he's like, this would be good. So. Yeah, very impressive.
Yeah, I could see Martins, if he was born 100 years earlier,
would fit in just fine.
Oh man, you'd be perfect. Yeah, just go to this town and lift, a couple cows on his back or whatever the hell he's gonna do.
And go scuba. I mean, he's been scuba diving for a while. I think he's back home now, but he's doing a lot of scuba diving. So just back then, he would just use some sort of old time apparatus in order to do that, and just do the same. I mean, he could really just live the same way he does now.
Yeah, so maybe he is just born at the right time when we think about it, because he's still living like that. But speaking of which, the athletes that are competing at the Arnold and the events got announced. I reposted them on startingstrongman.com because they're on a thing. And of course, the first question when I repost all this is, why isn't this guy competing? Why isn't that guy competing? How can it be the Arnold without X? Let's say who's the biggest person missing would be Zydrunas.
Zydrunas, yeah.
He pretty much is the Arnold Strongman Classic. Like
eight times, yeah.
Like once he retires, they should start giving out trophies of him to the winners.
That would be outstanding. That would be awesome.
I'm for it. If they do that, I'm bulking. I'm telling you, I want to win that Zydrunas trophy.
Yeah.
But if you listen to this, you're probably a little bit more informed or misinformed, depends on who you ask, about the sport of strongman. So it might not be news to you, but they have you can say one of the biggest positives of the Arnold is that they have a clear-cut way on how people qualify now.
Yep.
So when you see the Arnold Europe, Arnold Brazil, Arnold Australia, all the other, sub-Arnolds out there, you basically qualify for the Arnold Strongman Classic by winning that or winning one of those or accumulating point. And everyone who didn't win accumulates points throughout the season. X amount of points for getting second, X amount of points for at the Arnold Classic, etc. So whoever then, they pick, out of all the winners, there's that many. And I think there ends up being, 2 more wild card spots, which they go by points, I think it is.
I think so, yes. And then they have some alternates.
And then there's also the guy who wins the amateur, which I've heard rumors that that's going away or not, but I don't believe that that's true. Who knows? So it's a clear cut path. It's not like Worlds where, World's Strongest Man, where some guy at a Giants Live gets seventh and he qualifies, then some other guy gets fourth and doesn't.
Hmm.
Some people just don't even do a show and get invited because they're more I look at that. I look at World's Strongest Man as they have real contests, and World's Strongest Man is a real contest. But the World's Strongest Man is kind of a TV show, and the other contests, I look at it as like a casting, right?
Hmm.
So obviously they have the clear cut favorites. You win, you go in. But then they kind of look and they're like, okay, we need this many Americans. We need this. We need someone from freaking Netherlands or whoever the hell, and they got to, pick and choose spots. So it's more of like it's not like it's not cut and dry like they've made the Arnold. Like this guy has more points, this guy has less points. But the disadvantage of that though is that sometimes injury or that I think most of them have to pay their own way to compete. It's a little hard to travel all those to accumulate points. So, they might have went to the one contest expecting they could win, had a bad day, didn't, and they
got to do another one, or they can't do the other one,
or they're not going to compete at the Classic.
Yeah,
they just didn't do it. So you have people are wondering why is this person not here? Like Zydrunas, Zydrunas I think calculated he's won. Like, how many more Arnolds could he possibly win? Do you think anyone's ever going to touch that?
I mean, Shaw could, but I don't think anyone's going to hit 8.
Yeah, I don't.
But you got to stay. You have to stay healthy year round for
Jesus.
that many more years. So it's possible, but tough.
But it's unlikely. So I think he's calculated. He looks like he's improving, and he's focused on the 5th Worlds, I think.
Yep, which is needs to be set up better this year. Him versus Shaw for that.
No
that needs to be promoted more, aside from a couple of guys talking on a Sunday.
Yeah, I think we're about the only people that brought up that plot point. And then people that that did fairly well at it last year and then got 4th at Worlds, but just had pec surgery, like Martins isn't competing.
Yeah, Kalle had. He's still on the list, but he had tricep surgery.
Yeah, but
not that long ago. But he could probably come back. I mean, Krzysztof Razakowski comes back in like 2 weeks from tricep surgery,
and they're both Polish, so
right. There's something. It's something in the water.
So that's why. So the competitors competing are Brian Shaw, Mikhail Shivlikov, Ron O'Henley, which I'm happy he's getting the invite this year. As Kilkowski, as we said, Hafthor Bjornsson, Belsack, which I think he's going to surprise people. Mateusz Belsack. Mateusz Aujakowski, he won the Arnold Amateur. He's also Polish. Jerry Pritchett also could be right up there. Jean-Francois Caron, making his first Arnold appearance, long deserved. And Dimitar Savatinov, always good for some events at the Arnold, always right up there. And the first alternate,
especially the axle.
Yeah, I heard he'll probably be good by then. I know he had trouble cleaning the axle at America's Strongest Man. But I feel March, it could be a good event for him, depending on, I heard, what did he say? It was going to be like 180 kilos?
Yeah, just right around 400, yeah.
And then first alternate, Vititas Lawless. So it's a good list. Picking 10 strongman is always a tough feat. I really like how they do they do the process now with the clear-cut way to qualify. The only downside to it is that the athletes, like hopefully sponsors are covering and stuff to send them to those different shows, because if you had to foot your own bill, you're racking up some
thousands of
some money to make
most
sure
of these
qualify.
About half of those guys are sponsored very well. What I would say, at least
I'd assume.
Yeah.
So, but that makes it a little harder for someone trying to break in, though. Like, because the capital, to invest to be able to get to that stage. But cream rises to the top, and there's definitely no one on that list that's not deserving.
Absolutely not.
It's just narrowing down strongman to 10 people. is tough, and it's kind of, you could look at it like it's pretty much like how 30 guys go to World's Strongest Man, but 10 make the finals. It's just the qualifiers are spread out throughout the year instead of the week before.
It's very much like the finals, Yeah.
Yeah, and they had qualifiers. The differences are some new events. There's no Austrian oak and no bale tote. I feel like I'm not sure if getting rid of the worst event in Arnold history, the bale tote, in my opinion, was worth giving away the best event, the Austrian oak.
Yeah.
But
I'm hoping though that the Apollon's axle, whatever, I'm guessing, let's go ahead and throw it out there. Rogue will probably make that custom.
I'd assume.
That's probably going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Whatever they do is going to be way over the top. Yeah, so that'll be cool.
Yeah, and it hasn't been really contested. I just, it's a little bit, not to get Paul Mauser and company mad at me for saying it's a dangerous event, but
it's a dangerous. You're right. It's a dangerous event.
A continental clean has more risk of a bicep tear than a log clean. I don't care what anyone says.
Now let's look at. Well, Craig Pfister could probably give us a number on that. But even leading up to it, I hate to say that some of these guys might get hurt.
Oh yeah, just training
leading
too
up
much
to
for it.
Just training for it, but it's very possible because I mean even anytime you're over 300 with a continental for reps, there's a lot of stress on the biceps.
I tore mine doing 250, so. But yeah, it's just it's not a good position to put your bicep in.
Especially when they're doing a stone shoulder too, which is not. From what Shaw said in his video, is not a round stone.
So I heard, I translated. I think it was Belsack put a post on Facebook asking anyone if they knew of any oval stones laying around that weighed 160. So I'm guessing they're more like the Bosque style. Like if they did that documentary where they're kind of that they have those one kind of stone which they get to shoulder that are like the rounder kind of like egg shaped.
Yeah.
So it looks like they're really trying to do a throwback with some of the events at this year's Arnold, like we talked about earlier, where they're taking the Apollon's axle, which they just put out a documentary about, or as Terry Todd say, Apollon, right? So they're bringing that back, and it looks like they're going to do, what was the stone documentary? The Lithian, what would they call it? But anyways, it was about like the Basque stone lifters.
Oh, Levantadores?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then I think the stones, it's going to be like a series because he asked if like they had them in like 160, 170, 180, etc.
That'll be cool. That'll be
so
cool.
That'll be a cool looking event if that's like that. And if that's the case, I really don't see anyone. I think it being a series like that favors Thor over Shaw.
Yep. Agreed. I do. In that particular event, yeah. I think actually, if Thor had an Arnold to win, it'd be this one.
I agree. Because his strength, I think his deadlift's better than Shaw right now.
I mean, he pulled that 902 for two doubles easily.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't really look like a 90% lift.
So I'm gonna throw it out there right now. Anyone wants to bet me and not pay up, just like they did on my last bet, I bet Thor wins the Arnold this year.
I do too. So bag over bar, it's going to be him versus Shaw.
And
they're going to be close.
I give him the advantage.
I would take Thor. Stone shoulder, again, I'd give the advantage to Thor slightly.
Deadlift.
The axle, I think is going to be close.
Thor's clean is the thing. If it is for reps,
yeah,
Thor is more efficient and faster at the clean than just about anyone else. Is the difference, I think.
And then the deadlift, him versus Shaw is going to be close, but I don't know. Then again, Shaw doesn't post as many heavy deadlift videos, and Shaw probably won't start deadlifting as heavy this far out. So I'm not. We don't really know how they do their program, other than Thor has been doing a lot of near 1,000-pound squats, but doesn't look like Shaw's pulling nearly as heavy yet.
Yeah, and he did have the hamstring injury, but
they're both going to pull over 1,000. I think.
Oh yeah. I think it's hard to say Thor's going to outpull Shaw when there's been no evidence to support that from past contests. There's also the thought of how fucking heavy Thor's been going and all in this training. How is that gonna weigh on him? You know, going up to the Arnold, it's in March. We still got 3 months,
Yeah.
and he's been hitting 900-ish pound squats and deadlifts every week for how long before that?
Hmm.
So yeah, it's just
And then I don't know, the timber carry.
so
So
that's going to be without straps.
what?
What they put on the Arnold website was wrong. It's not what they sent to competitors.
Okay.
Because I had a competitor, well, Mateus Belsack messaged the Starting Strongman post, "What you said about timber carry not correct." And I said, do you have more info? Which he didn't respond to. So then I looked into it more, and I think Shaw said in the video that it's 900 pounds without straps. So it's the heaviest it's ever been without straps, I think.
Gotcha. Okay. And that's, I don't know. I don't know who that favors between the two of them. No matter what, it's going to be very close. And then you're going to have some guys that are going to be, potentially in between them on a couple things.
Mm-hmm.
JF Carone and Jerry Pritchett don't get enough credit.
Oh, not at all.
Dimitar could do fantastic at the axle, which he probably will. And then you don't count Kiliskowski out on anything. Heinle's strong as hell. Belsack, you can't count out. I mean,
Belsack,
really,
I think, is gonna. His axle's good at 400. He was one of the last guys standing, at Europe's with that. His deadlift's improving.
He's trying to compete with JF Carone for the most underrated strongman.
Yeah, we had that debate. I think Kevin Cronin started it in the Facebook group. But yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting year for that. And you know who quietly gets in between everyone on points is Mikhail Shivlikov.
He does.
It never first, never last. But I loved his bunny hop technique last year at the Arnold with the yoke, and it was one of the better times. It was, and he did well in the sandbag toss. I think this is all by memory. So it'll be an interesting Arnold. Of course, the Arnold Amateur as well, which is pretty much all stone events, and a circus dumbbell. So got to help some people get ready for that. There's no true deadlift at the Arnold Amateur. There's the fat back farmers, which is like a couple deadlifts, farmers walk, drop it, couple deadlifts, finish. There's no details put out about that yet, as far as I know. But it looks like it'll be a good event. There's the mystery event, which is always fun to speculate on what the mystery event is. I don't know if you have any insight, any thoughts on that.
I heard sumo wrestling or bar bending.
I don't think
sandbag pull up the side of a building, like in Britain's Strongest Man 1982.
I think they should do like that one where you have the sword holding a plate at the very end of it.
Dude, that was awesome. I didn't remember that. There's some awesome obscure events. There really are.
Yeah, I missed that, but I think that's about it for this week. Good luck at Worlds to you, Mike. Good luck to Worlds to everyone. Props to Lynn Morehouse and Train Strongman and everyone for getting it done. Sorry, I can't be there.
One more thing with so at the Nationals banquet, Camby looked at me. He's like, "Hey man, good luck, but you're going down at Worlds." I'm like, "Yeah, I know." I'm like, what? I'm like, I'm not an idiot. What do you think? I'm gonna beat you? I'm like, not a chance. You're gonna hit a 400 log. I was like, I hope you win.
He's competitive, man. He was impressive at Nationals.
Dude, he was very impressive.
And
it was very impressive.
I hung out. He's a lot bigger than I thought he'd be. Like, look, he's like probably strongman standards, but he's a fucking big dude. Like, 245. I was like walking back to the hotel room after the banquet, and I stopped and said hi at a bar, and he just grabs me on the shoulder and he just fucking shakes me around. He's like, "You're coming and partying with us." I'm like, "Nah, don't think."
You're like,
so.
"I'm old, man. I'm going to bed."
That's exactly what I said. I'm like, I am way too old. And I looked around. I'm like, I don't miss that life at all. I was telling my father-in-law over Thanksgiving, because he's kind of like a a wild guy in the sense that he's always raced dirt bikes and doing all that kind of shit, and he still wants like an old muscle car just that has like he's like, oh, 500 horsepower is not enough. Like I told him, I'm like, this one has like 425. He's like, that's the minimum I'd accept. Like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like,
you want to go race, Kale? It's 3 a.m. Whatever.
Yeah, but anyways, I just told so he's like, I'm having a kid and everything, and with his daughter, and he's like, oh, it's gonna be a big adjustment. I'm like, man, I've been waiting to be like mid-30s with a wife and a house and a kid and being boring since I was like 8 years old.
Yeah.
I said I'd be out at a bar in my 20s and I'd be standing around and I'm like, is anyone else actually think this fun, or are they pretending like I am?
I want to go home and go to bed.
Yeah, and then I'm like, then I look at people like you, and you do think it's fun. He's like, yeah, it was the best, and I'm like, fuck, I thought everyone else was just pretending like me. Like, no way does anyone think this is fun.
Yeah,
I think out of all the times I ever went out, I had like fun maybe half a dozen, like actually had a good night like half a dozen times. There are times I'm just standing and drinking and be like, oh, I'm gonna talk to this person. Fuck, don't miss it at all. I wanted to be old and boring my entire life, and I'm glad I get to do so. And I thank everyone for listening to me talk about being old and boring for an hour.
Well, Luke is already fallen asleep by now. He's listening to this as he goes to bed. He's asleep.
Oh, that's awesome. Anyways, thanks for listening to the Strong Talk podcast. Good luck in all of your training and competing. Go on iTunes, give us a 5-star rating and review. Follow at Starting Strongman and myself at Let Kale Lift. Follow me on Twitter. I'm using the at Let Kale Lift Twitter more, even though there's like 3 followers on it. Because I can, but the good thing about having almost no followers on some, I can post something and I don't get a barrage of comments not understanding what I said because they don't have reading comprehension. So it's kind of nice. We're gonna have some sales going through the holiday season. Might be still going on by now. Store.startingstrongman.com. You can sign up for training with myself or Mike, or the templates there, and everything you need to train for Strongman. And our new Amazon shop. If you're doing your holiday shopping, we got it has all the recommended products, pretty much everything you need for Strongman. Amazon.com/shop/starting strongman. I find that really hard to say. I tried to say that in an intro like 2 weeks ago. I'm like, Amazon.com/shop/starting strongman. Actually,
say it 5 times fast.
It's hard. You should try it. But I recommend everyone listening say that so you get stuck in your head. And follow at Chrono Strength, and appreciate you coming on, Mike. Good luck at Worlds. Keep me updated, and we'll talk to y'all next week.